and they don't allow for it. You have to follow.
Bob,
I was gonna say the same thing, Bob. It's in our bylaws that we have to have the nomination committee, and we have to do the election in June. It's been like that for 30-something years that we voted, so elections every year, so it's not gonna affect what we've done in the past.
But we're gonna vote on the bylaws, and then we're gonna vote on the election?
That's the future, what you're gonna vote on.
It's-
Oh, okay, does it, okay, I got you now, okay, thank you. I still don't think that's right, but, okay, I got you.
well, we had already started everything, and I don't want anything to look like it's being done underhanded or anything like that. I was very shocked, surprised to find that we hadn't properly did what we needed to do, and it's more important to me that we get bylaws out and straight and correct. This had nothing to do with the election, other than the fact that I thought it was a 2-year term, and when I looked and examined the document wasn't correct. So I felt that we had to get that done, and without having any disruption, we will just continue going forward with the election this year. Okay? Any other questions on that?
Yeah, but you are changing it. It used to only be, you could only serve as an executive member, as a chairperson for 2 years, period. You're saying now that it's 1 year to be voted on, but a 4-year term limit?
What happened was,
Consecutive years? I
no,
just,
no. Let me explain the process. Look back, when I saw the changes that we wanted to amend in 2010,
okay,
we wanted to expand from the restriction of two-year terms. Okay, that you were limited to 2 consecutive 1-year terms. We wanted to have it so that the term limit was 4 years. And we went to change that. Somehow the word limited to get in there, but it said 2-year term. I was just as confused. And that's where, I kind of pulled that thread on sweat and found out that the document isn't correct. The document needs to be corrected and it needs to be proper. So it reverted back to 1 year, which is basically what it was saying.
it's always been 1 year.
Yeah, it said, oh, you're elected to a 2-year term, but an election every year.
No, it's an election every year with a 2-year maximum that you could serve. So,
No,
That's what it used to be.
it used to
okay,
be
now
that.
you're changing it to.
No. Diane, back in 2010,
Okay, no problem.
yeah, back in 2010, we had the words. We did vote on it.
Okay,
4 years, but every year you had to get voted in.
oh, yes.
Like it happened with me. I ran 4 times. People ran against me every year. So I don't know how this got so confusing.
It was voted on, it was accepted. The problem was it was not properly adopted into the bylaws.
Right.
And I remember, there was who was that? Who was the woman that was the chairperson when all that was voted on?
All right, enough of that.
I served 4 years, but it was under, but I was an exception.
No, we voted it under you. We had
But anyway, it would be a good time, I
Good
think,
luck.
if you would like to think about that. It's something to think about. Otherwise, it's basically the same document, but we do get the 4-year term limit for executive officers. Again, the question is, do we want to go through elections every year for those positions? Do we feel that's enough time for anybody to work in the position? So, the document is there, it's in its basic form. It is 1-year term with elections every year with a 4-year term limit. Was there a question?
One second.
Yeah.
Martin, I'm sorry. We're going to be adopting what we voted on in 2010, which was the 4 years. We just put it into the bylaws. The words was wrong.
Right.
John,
The words were wrong.
John, it's a draft document. As long as it straightens out that what the term is and what the term limit is, we'll go from there. And if anyone in the future wants to look at the terms and how long terms should last, we'll do that. But right now, we do need to get ourselves official bylaws because we'd be operating under the bylaws from 1996.
And that's the only mistake that was done.
That was
It was not
So can
accepted.
I just ask a question? The document that we have in front of us, is it subject to amendments or proposals, or this is it, we're gonna be voting on this?
No,
Yes, yes.
you know, again, at this point, when it comes up for adoption, okay, we will discuss if there's any changes that as a board we want to look at.
My question is, are we able to,
Of
based
course,
upon what happened in the past?
of course, you can suggest amendments from the board. You're a board member, okay? Each board member does have that power, or that authority to put a motion to make amendments on it. Again, the intent of what the executive committee wanted to do with it is in this document in terms of the 4-year term limit. But I want you to examine it, understand it, and then again, think about it and give your input.
I think, Bahati, I think you're suggesting what I'm thinking. So technically, if everybody comes back everybody goes home and reads this now, they call you and Bahati wants to make a change or do whatever, we probably won't get to vote on this, a completed document until maybe September. Is that a fair statement?
Not really. I guess I just want to know the procedural posture of this document. I need to know, this document that from what my understanding was proposed in 2010 and voted on but not adopted, what are we able, if anything, to do with this document? From how I'm understanding it, all we need to do is say, okay, we now adopt this into as the bylaws,
Right.
not necessarily up for interpretation, amendment, or anything other. And if that's not correct, then that's not correct, but I just need to, I guess I need to be explained to me in a different way.
Okay, back when we did vote this, if you remember the records, what drew a little curveball was Bahati asking that question 4 years ago. Okay? But what happened was, there was a change, there was a
It's
change,
always me, I mean, come on, like, let's keep it real.
there was a change, it was voted on, and it was passed by the majority. So anything that was voted on and passed still is holding. But the problem was, it was never written correctly into the bylaws, and the bylaws were never sent out as per the minutes. When your last meeting, Diane, you said we're gonna
Right.
rewrite it,
Passed
and it
on
was
to
gonna be sent out to everyone and voted on, and that part never happened. So he's clearing up.
Because we changed chairman.
Right, he's putting the changes in, he's clearing it up, and we're gonna send it out. But at any time, any person on the committee can put a change in writing to the chairperson. And the next meeting, he will read it out, then it has to lay over until the following meeting to be voted on. So any changes or amendments can be done. All you have to do is give it to the chairperson, district manager in writing, it's read out at the next full board meeting, and then it's laid over for a vote to the following meeting afterwards.
Which would be September, which is why I said that.
Oh, yeah, and that's true.
I think-
If
No changes.
if changes come up,
Right.
and we have to incorporate them, it will have to be held over to September. If no one finds any problems with this as it exists, we can adopt it next month
Okay.
and look to do any amendments that you might have in the next term.
Is it feasible to have a subcommittee regarding bylaws that can address it as 4 or 5 individuals and then come back to the committee? Is it, but I'm saying off the executive board, like 5 other board members plus executive board or something. This way it's
Well,
not all over the place.
I understand what you're saying, and when you look at it, again, if I had to say what would be the best road, because this document pretty much mirrors the 1996 bylaws we were operating under, except for the amendments or the resolutions that were accepted to change to a 4-year term limit for those officers, okay? We all went to do that when we did those amendments before, but we never formally incorporated or did a vote to adopt them. So now, this kind of pushes us back. The spirit and intent of what the executive board wanted to do in terms of those term limits is still in there. If I had my us to adopt the bylaws here and then to formulate, as you said, a committee next year to examine the bylaws for any further amendments or changes that may be necessary to keep them within the times. Does everybody understand that?
I don't like to further the point, but I agree with Kevin's idea. First off, and I don't know how things have been here, I haven't been here too many years, but I don't think it's right that the executive board, with all due respect, is in charge of making a governing tool for this body. I believe it should be a subcommittee, like Kevin said, and I don't believe we should vote on something being that we're going to have, forget about the election, because the election's going to be next month. But if we're going to do this right, I think a subcommittee should be formed. There should be a period of where we get things sent into that subcommittee, and then we should have it later on to vote on it. And I think Kevin's suggestion, you said, you know, we could do all that at the next thing. But I think it should not be that fast. And being that it was stated that the executive committee had formulated this, I don't believe that's the right way to go. And I don't have too much experience, but I do have some experience with boards other than this. And I think a subcommittee should be made, not the executive board.
Okay, so Mike, as I said, and I agree with you what you're saying in concept, as I said. But as a board, everyone agreed that they wanted the 4-year term limit. That was the major change that the board wanted at that time. That change is in this document. Nothing else changes from 1996. Some wording to bring us up to speed where we can do communication by email. There was some places where we referred to him, where we just discounted any woman being in that position. So we brought it up to date in that way. But this would reflect what we had passed in 2010 regarding term limits. Now, just in order to make sure, again, it's a 20-year-old document, just to make sure next year, and we can make the motion on that once it's adopted, that a committee is formed, and not at the executive level, but from the board level, to review the bylaws and make any real changes that need to be made. But right now, we need to get a document on board that has been formally adopted by us and is legitimate. Because we can't go back to 96 because those term limits are totally different in the 96 document. So again, the only thing that will change in this draft is that it's a 4-year term limit. The elections are still once every year. The term of office is 1 year. The term limit is 4. It needs to be looked at even greater than that, but right now we want to make sure that we're operating under a document that at least is sound in terms of what our first document was.
So I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. So what we need to do is adopt the bylaws as is, the one that was voted on in 2010. Once we at least adopt that, we'll have a working bylaws, and then a committee or whatever we so choose can be formed and changes can then be introduced.
Yes, in fact, it's probably even better to have a committee fully, as we said, from the board members themselves to look at the document.
However, so
Okay,
we're looking to
yeah.
adopt it at the next meeting.
Right,
Okay.
but I just don't think it's right. If anybody took a look at what we had on our website, they said, what are these people operating on? And then there was nothing that showed that they even adopted or approved, and the process didn't finish. So what happened is somewhere along the line, a draft document wound up going up and people thought that that was our bylaws, and that's not right. So this will be a legitimate set of those bylaws, and then we look in our next, in the next term, and that should be an instruction that's laid out with the district manager, because we don't know if there's any change that's going to come, but that the district manager has to make sure this is the first business that's taken care of in September. That's the only way we can guarantee continuity on that, because the first incident happened because there was a change in the chair leadership, and it kind of got lost in between. Nobody was wrong, and nobody's saying anybody was wrong. just an error, and the error put us outside of the tracks of operation. So this brings us back into the track, and then we can go on and do that other business in the next session, that's all. Okay, so it really doesn't change anything, except it puts those 4-year term limits that everybody wanted to have, and that they haven't operated. Okay? Any other questions on that? You all have my number, you can call me. Moving on, because everybody always have fake news, I can't stand that. But next up is Housing and Zoning Committee.
Not true. You're still up. You did the public hearing. They're tired of hearing from you. All right, on May 14th, over at City Island, at the Civic Association, Martin held a public hearing. I co-chaired. This was for the new water main going across with the bridge, the new bridge. Okay, so we had to have it's called ULURP, which is a Uniform Land Use Review Procedure. We held it there. We had people come out from the different agencies. They explained everything. There was nobody there at the meeting that opposed it, so the vote took, it passed, and that's the update on that. If you have any other questions, you can read the minutes, and if it's still not clear, you can talk to Martin about it. No, you work is
No, that's done.
done.
It's done.
ULURP is one thing, public hearing, another. Okay. After the public hearing, we had the housing and zoning meeting, but it went real quick because we had the renewal of the unenclosed sidewalk cafe. And this was tabled and referred to the full board meeting, so we're going to do a quick vote. Up and down vote, no resolution, all right? This is for the renewal of an unenclosed sidewalk cafe of 16 tables, 37 chairs for the APR restaurant known as Havana Cafe at 3151 East Tremont Avenue. License application 1385221. So, do I have a motion to accept? Okay, on the question, we do have one of the owners here, and he's going to have to abstain from voting, of course, because he has an interest in this. So, anyone have any questions on this? Move to a vote? Go ahead.
What about the neighbors there? They still complain? I thought they were going to do
One person was here today. We came to him, and he says his complaints are about the equipment on the roof and things like that.
But nobody had any complaints?
No, and as they have come to the meeting, they're in the process, they got an architect, they're trying to get the approval of the sound wall put up, so.
I think the issues were late at night.
Right, and then there was some complaints, and they've been brought to the owner about some loud noise and the customers lingering and making some noise, and we've addressed that, and he says he's gonna look into it again.
Just a quick, I just want to make a clarification.
Yeah.
Since we're on the renewal, our plan is actually to remove the cafe side along LaSalle and shift it now that we expanded on Tremont and shift it around so that the cafe is only in front of the restaurant. Part of the issue is that LaSalle is a residential street. The opening and closing of the door does cause some noise and people are leaving there, which they should as an emergency. So we have to review first and then make the amendment.
Right, and as we did with the Tosca Cafe, we'd ask you to be, nice to your neighbors. Try at 11 o'clock to shut the doors so that the music doesn't drift over into your neighbors, if at all possible. So we're going to go to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We got 3 opposed.
And one recusal.
One abstention.
One recusal.
2. One recused. discussion was the new houses that were built down on the end of Dare Place and Castle Place. This will be a discussion at the next housing and zoning meeting through the BSA. They've gone, what they actually did was build two-family houses, not the normal type that you think two-family houses are on top of each other. These were semi-attached two-family houses side by side, and then after they were built, they
And block to block.
right, and they subdivided the property, so to kind of sell them off as one-family homes. So that will be at our next meeting, and thank you. Take care of your meeting there.
Next up is economic development. Mr. Wade?
I'm going to sit down and read it off.
With the board's permission, I'm going to merge the meetings in April and May together because I understand they weren't voted on the resolutions that were made. Okay, very quickly, I hope I get right through this, is the economic development at the recommendation of the Economic Development Committee of Bronx Community Board 10, the following establishments have agreed to comply with the best management practice standards contained within the stipulations by signing to further agree that ATAP training and the compliance is being sent to the State Liquor Authority. The establishments involved, I'm just going to read the names if that's all right with everybody. Don Coquine, George's Restaurant, Your Mini Mart, Tosca Cafe, Capri 2 Pizza. Okay. Resolved at the recommendation of the Economic Development Committee, these establishments agreed to comply. Okay, the next group, and again it might be repeating. I have it here. Okay, I have it here again, I believe. Patricia's and Ernie's. And I'm going to go to the next. Okay. Go to this one. Folks, I apologize, but this was a curveball that I just walked into tonight. This is the one I want. Again, it's Crab Shanty, Patricia's, Louise and Ernie's, Fellows, Trinity Danish, American Turner, Honeystine Pavilion, Crosby Caribbean Restaurant, Don Coquille, George's Restaurant, Your Mini Mart, Tosca Cafe, Capri 2 Pizza, Havana's Cafe Snack, Havana Cafe, Arthur Avenue, Havana Cafe City. Resolved that these people met all the standards. New registration would be Remy's 10608 53 Westchester Square, 10461 between Martoon and Roberts Avenue. They have also agreed and everything's been approved. Okay?
Second.
Motion on that?
Second.
Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? I have to bring one issue that happened in May. We had a few neighbors over from by the Shamrock. There was a little problem between both the neighbors and the Shamrock behind, and they voiced complaints as far as noise and everything else. It got into a little major, lengthy speaking contest between everybody. And at the end of that, we finally decided that as this committee stands right now, we are not into going and doing sound meters ourselves. We just passed it on. Through this, somebody somehow came under the interpretation that we were going to send a letter to the State Liquor Authority. We cannot do that. We feel as a committee that we should just refer it to the 4 or 5 precinct and have them investigate it and then report back to us. So with that, we just put that on the table, and to the Shamrock, the Shamrock, I apologize, and again, it's just misunderstanding, right, Pete? John? Yes. Okay. Again, the only other thing on there, we wound up voting for somebody to be president again, and he did it, accept it. But that's my report.
Thank you, Jim. Sorry to start off. That's all right.
Okay, next up is Youth and Education Services. If you go on the bylaws, you see that we didn't have education and review.
I did know.
So, as you see, we evolve as we go. Bob?
Okay, the youth committee discussed the essay contest and possibility of making some changes next year. The response weren't exactly what we wanted to So we're looking into other things that we may be doing next year. The one thing that we really want to do is kind of get more in touch with the education portion of the Youth and Education Committee. Elaine Primavera has agreed to co-chair. She's been involved with the Department of Ed and the school system for many years, and she's going to be our liaison with the school system. So she's going to be reaching out to try and join the school safety meetings where a lot of the issues that happen within schools are discussed. We're hoping that the schools will form a better relationship with the community boards so that we can help them as we have in the past with other schools before these issues become inflamed. Our big wish is to get Truman as a community school. Truman is an amazing facility. They've got a planetarium, they've got a swimming pool. It's probably one of the best high schools facilities in our district. So we really want to get that opened up as a community school. It takes funding. So anytime you see one of the local elected officials say, how about getting Truman as a community school? State Senator Klein established 2 community schools. I believe it's 14 and 83. They haven't done it with the high school yet, but we really want to get our elected officials to fund this. A community school will open up the school to the entire community, so that not only youth organizations, but senior organizations and various other groups throughout the community can go in and use that facility when that school building is normally closed. You know, we have 50,000 people around one of the best facilities in the city, and none of them are able to use it. So we really want to get that opened up. It's discussions we've had with people at the co-op board, who've been looking for places to expand their programming. It's discussions we've had with Councilman King, with Ruth Astor Thompson, Senator Thompson, and we will continue to pursue this. So Andy King did think it was a very good idea. He's looking forward to trying to push for it, and hopefully we'll be able to make this happen. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Next up, Parks and Recreation.
Thank you very much. Insofar as Parks and Recreation is concerned, we still have not gotten the lavatory facilities for Ferry Point Park West. The money is in the budget. I can't understand from a point of view why the Parks Department cannot put it out for bids for all of the people that utilize the park. Yes. Well, they just shut me up. Thank you, Mr. Chair. They will start the facilities in September, so trying to find so many portable toilets just to take care of the people that do use the park at the present time. Insofar as the Orchard Beach is concerned, they had the dedication of the opening, and it is a wonderful, wonderful place to go hiking, to go swimming, to have wonderful times there and everything else. And there are several agencies that have applied under the Parks Department rules and regulations to provide food in vans that can go around on the beach. So that makes it a little bit easier for people. Insofar as the rest of parks is concerned, they're in good hands. And we have a very wonderful parks agency that take into consideration all of the requests from all of the civic associations and planning boards, and that's a good thing to have and announce. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Virginia.
Chairman?
Next up is planning.
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
With regard to parks, one of the things that Marion Anderson mentioned at the parks meeting was that their staffing is really down an awful lot. So Ken, when you go to those budget meetings, please let's get some additional staffing, particularly for our park in Common Bay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
and Budget Committee met on May 12th. We didn't have a full quorum, but we did go over the entire board's budget. And you should have a copy in your file, in your group of papers. And I'd like a motion to approve. I'll read the motion.
I don't have a copy of the minutes. You don't have a copy of the budget? It's not in the minutes.
I'll move.
What?
No, you want, I'll give you a copy.
Please, it's not in the minutes.
No, I'll read you the resolution. You want that or the vote?
The budget, please, it's not in the minutes.
Oh, God, Bob, do you anything? You know that.
Thank you.
There you go. It's like I even bought a copy.
Well, everybody should have a copy. I don't know why it's not in the minutes.
I have no idea either. But I know what else do you do?
Thank you, sir.
You were gonna ask.
Now, I'd like to know what I'm voting on. I'm funny that.
Okay. Bob, do I motion to approve? Can we move it?
Voting when you want. I'm just reading the budget.
Okay.
You have a forum?
No, we didn't have a quorum at the meeting, but we got a quorum here.
Now.
So the whole board can vote on it.
No, if
The whole board can vote on it.
Still have a quorum?
Let me read the, you
half of the people
want
left.
to read the budget aloud? All those papers? They've been here all night. Why do you want to read it aloud? Just a motion. Resolved that the recommendation of the Planning and Budget Committee of Bronx Community Board 10, that the internal budget of the board be accepted, and this information be presented to the full board for their approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Any nays? Any abstentions? Bob? No. No? You made an issue of it, huh? Thank you all.
All right, on. Yeah. All right, we have to double check on that to make sure we still have enough to a quorum. And on the other note, there wasn't a copy of the budget in your packages. But the district manager wants to give you a quick rundown if anyone doesn't feel they want to vote on something without.
Wait, is there a quorum? Is there a quorum?
Any questions? I mean, you know.
Is there a
I've
quorum?
been voting on this thing for 25 years. Why did I ask you to go over the whole thing? You keep your head up, Good for you, Diane. 12 o'clock. And you now go out and
Very fast, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's do it. And make it quick so we can vote. We do have a quorum.
You voted.
You voted? All right. Well, I'm glad that you all trust the budget committee. No, flying and passing, thank you. All right. Next up is Health and Human Services, Debbie. Here comes the first one.
All right, yeah, we have none of this fighting and arguing. So, we just want to get healthy, so you have to meditate, stop fighting, not with the blood pressure. So, anyway, our next walk is June 13th. It's going to be at Co-op City at the Greenway. We have to have further details, which we will send out. Thanks to Eileen, our Facebook group has grown exponentially. So please join our Healthy Challenge Lifestyle Facebook group because we're sharing tips and ideas on how to get healthy. We will continue to sponsor walks and health events, and so we'd like you all to join. We'd like to get the whole community healthy since unfortunately some of the reports show that we're one of the unhealthiest. The other thing is with the summer coming, skin cancer, doesn't matter what type of skin you have, light, medium, dark, we're all prone to it. I just had a dear friend with her husband. So please protect
protect your skin, go to your dermatologist and have a checkup, because there's spots that you might not realize that are dangerous, and when you're caught in time, you can save your life. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
That's the fun part. Lastly, we have the nominating committee report.
First of all, I'd like to thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the committee for all of their hard work and everything. The election will be held at the June 2015 meeting. Nominations shall be closed at the end of this meeting, May, general board meeting. So therefore, if you want to make nominations, before we leave this room, in any event, the first position to be voted on will be chairperson, and then first vice chair, the second vice chair, treasurer, and secretary. If anyone is running for more than one position, once voted into any position, they will have to withdraw their name from any other positions nominated for. Okay? At the present time, the following people have been nominated. Chairperson Martin Prince was nominated by Peter Sullivan and Diane Locke. His term in office at this time is 1 year. Second person that has been nominated is John Morano. He was nominated by Rocco Tallarico and Andrew Chirico. None. In other words, with Frank start over. First vice chairperson, John Morano, has been nominated by Peter Sullivan, and his term in office at this time is 1 year. Rocco Tallarico was nominated by John Morano and Andrew Chirico, and none. This is the first time running for any position. Second vice chairperson, Anthony Salenbene, nominated by John Morano. Term in office at this time, 1 year, but there's some question marks there. I'd have to double check that. Second vice chair is Diane Locke, nominated by Peter Sullivan, and none. She has breaks and she'll start over again. The treasurer nominated was Peter Cantillo, who was nominated by Peter Sullivan. Terms in office at this time, none. It's a different position than what he holds now. Secretary Carl Nettermeyer, nominated by Peter Sullivan. Term in office at this time, none. It's a different position that he holds now. Robert Barbarelli, nominated by Rocco Tallarico. Term in office at this time, none. First time running for any position. Are there any questions that you'd like to ask? Okay, then if you would like to make any nominations, now is the time to speak up, other than the ones I just said. Okay, I don't see any hands. So therefore, we will be going with these candidates at our June meeting. The ballot will be a good ballot. In other words, when I say a good ballot, I'm sure everybody is going to be interested in it. But it will be a closed ballot. Okay, everybody seems to want to know one, so can we have a party after it all? And I just like that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Motion to close.
Motion to close. They hold it there. Right, hold it there.
Second motion to close Okay, thank you for your service on that agenda. Appreciate that greatly. We also have to thank Peter Sullivan. Disappears whenever, always in the shadows. And next up, any old business? Okay, new business. I would just say thank you to the public, thank you to the board
Rite Aid store. Please contact him and fill some of the hours. The Health and Human Services Committee is going to be handing out information and trying to get people to sign up on the Healthy Challenge. We'll have other information about the kids. Thank you.
Can I get a motion to close?
Motion to adjourn.